Hello, everyone. I am so excited that we're discussing how our churches can become more accessible.
The reason why it is so important for a church to consider accessibility issues is that there's so many things that impair people from coming to a place if they don't feel like they can manage it.
I can't help now. Everywhere I go, I look at, is the sidewalk flat? How many stairs are there? And I have a portable ramp, it's really heavy and awkward to carry around, but sometimes you absolutely have to.
They have to go upstairs to do communion, okay? And so, that a lot of times would just eliminate certain congregations because I knew I didn't want to do that, So if there was ground level communion, that was one of the factors that I would look at.
I think it's really important for churches to consider becoming accessible to all, because when the church takes that initiative and doesn't wait for people to come to us in order to start making changes to make ourselves more accessible, then we've started that conversation, we've started that dialogue. And in talking to a lot of people who have different needs, I think they feel like they're always having to be the squeaky wheel. They're always having to be the ones to raise issues, and that feels like they're complaining, when in fact they're really just asking for the same basic comforts that everyone else gets to experience when we come together in a community worship space.
Before you give somebody the chance to disappoint you, ask. And then it's amazing. They just go, oh, like they wake up, like, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even realize it. So it's not that someone's trying to be rude or obnoxious. They just don't know. And they're not in that zone. And so we get to be a model for that zone.
And so taking that pressure and that responsibility away from them and saying, we want to make ourselves welcoming, we're going to take the first step, we're going to take the initiative, I think speaks volumes to our intention of becoming a welcoming, inclusive church.
Honestly, the right attitude is an attitude that makes all people feel welcome and to feel like they are children of God.
Oftentimes, when we're going through the accessible to all process, I think it's easy for people to say, well, this is good enough. But I really discourage that mindset, because the honest truth is that it's never good enough. We can always be more inclusive.
The first thing you have to do is have enough accessibility for somebody to get in, right? If you can't get in, then they're stuck at home watching virtually. And while that's been really great, I think a lot of us are really tired of that. So you have to be able to get in.
How can you share the vision you have with the community so that people can jump on board, not only in sharing resources, but in sharing their time? Here's one example. We purchased some accessible water fountains, but it wasn't in our budget this year to install the water fountains, which we realized was going to cost a lot of money. And so we just began talking with people in the community about what we wanted to accomplish. And finally, a contractor who knew about our church and knew about our vision offered a plumber from his business to come install the water fountains for free. And that was such a gift to our church community. And we knew that they also shared a vision for making spaces in our city, like churches, more accessible.
There are things that you can do that do not cost money, but we advise you to examine the process, to go through the checklist and the audit, to look at your campus, to look at your programs, to look at your sanctuary and your worship services, and decide what it is that you can do that costs little or no money.
I thought I could be a representative for those that have mobility issues. So then I was able to participate in that, which was wonderful. And I just thought, whatever I could spot as issues at your church, as mobility issues, I could be a part of that and to some benefit to everybody.
I know for a lot of churches, financial resources are often a limitation, but I would just encourage churches to think about what are small steps you can take that really don't cost a lot of money.
Starting with the bulletins, for those that still use bulletins, do them in larger print. Make sure that if you use screens during service, that the videos are accessible for those with low vision. Lighting in the church. Make sure that people use microphones when they speak. Those are all things that are a good start.
And so even though Claremont United Church of Christ has been formally given the designation as an accessible to all church, we have a lot more that we can do here at Claremont United Church of Christ. And so it's going to be a lifelong process of listening, discerning, growing, and sharing a vision of what can be accomplished.
I could give you statistics about how at one point 80% of people will have a disability for 6 months or more in their lifetime. So you may not have one now, but there may be someone in the future who needs these services.
I love the project you're doing right now. So now we're going to have accessibility on both ends of the church. And it's a big campus, we have a big grounds here. So if someone's coming from the north, they can come in on this end, and if someone's coming from the south, they can get in on that end. It's just fantastic. I love it.
There are many ways that we can improve the experience of people coming to worship with us, but it's only because we took that time to stop and go through each part of our worship liturgy and our campus. It's only because we stopped and took that time to raise our own awareness that we became more open and understanding to what we need to change.